He didn't even look up when he said it. "We don't need lazy people like you." His tone was casual, dismissive, like I was a piece of old furniture being tossed out during renovation. I stood there, holding the termination letter, the ink still drying under his signature. Ryan Mercer, acting CEO. The same Ryan who once called me Dad's right hand. The same Ryan whose father I'd worked beside for 12 years, who trusted me with his books, his mergers, his secrets. I smiled, not politely, strategically. "Of course," I said softly, signing my acknowledgement. "Effective immediately?" He smirked. "You can pack your desk today." I did, calmly, like I always do. He didn't know the storm he'd just invited into his pristine office. When I first joined Mercer Holdings, the founder, Richard Mercer, was a force of nature, sharp mind, sharper instincts. He once told me, "Business isn't about numbers, it's about reading people." He taught me everything, how to anticipate motives, how to hide mine. I became more than his chief financial officer. I became the only one who could challenge his strategies and win. When his son, Ryan, joined the company, I was the one told to show him the ropes. Ryan was entitled, but charming, the kind of charm that hides rot under polish. He believed his surname was a strategy. I believed he'd learn. I was wrong. He learned manipulation faster than ethics. The first sign was subtle. The financial summaries he edited before board meetings, the missing disclosures, the inflated valuations. Then came the rumors, whispers of restructuring, of fresh leadership. And one day, Richard's seat was empty. Heart attack, sudden, convenient. Ryan stepped up before the funeral flowers had wilted, and 3 days later, my name was on the termination list. It wasn't just an insult, it was erasure. But what he didn't know, what his father had known all too well, was that I never signed anything I didn't write myself. Emotion is the enemy of precision, so I buried mine. I spent that evening not crying, but reviewing. Every clause, every amendment, every digital trail Ryan had carelessly stepped on. Richard's final request before his death had been simple: update the executive contracts, include the new retention terms. He trusted me to manage it. I had, and Ryan had signed his father's standard employment contracts, including mine. In the event of termination without board approval, the executive retains all performance shares, access to internal financial records, and discretionary audit rights for a period of 6 months. Ryan never read it. He just signed it, like he always did. The next morning, I walked into that office again, not as an employee, but as a shareholder. The receptionist froze. Ryan's assistant whispered, "You can't just—" I smiled. "I can. Clause 14B. Inside his office, Ryan was mid-call, laughing, until he saw me. "You again?" he said, irritated. I placed the contract on his desk. His signature, his father's initials, my amendments. Richard approved this version. You fired me under your authority, not the board, which means you violated executive policy and triggered an internal audit under my supervision. His color drained. That's not possible." "Oh, it's possible," I said, sliding the audit notice forward. "And here's the best part. Any discrepancies found during this period become reportable to the board and, if significant, to the Securities Commission." Silence. He glanced at the papers, panic rising. He knew what was buried in those books, the inflated valuations, the falsified reports. He'd inherited his father's empire, but built his foundation on fraud. 2 days later, the board convened. I presented the findings, calmly, clinically, without venom. They didn't look at Ryan during the meeting. They didn't need to. When I finished, the chairman asked one question: who authorized the accounting adjustments? Ryan stammered. I was told to." The chairman cut him off. "Your father's signature doesn't appear on any of these." It was over. By the end of the week, Ryan was suspended, pending investigation. His assets were frozen. And Mercer Holdings quietly reinstated me as interim CFO to stabilize the situation. No one congratulated me. They just avoided my eyes. Maybe they saw what Ryan never did, that my smile wasn't kindness, it was calculation. A week later, Richard's widow called me. Her voice trembled. "He told me you'd keep the company safe," she said. He was right. I looked out my office window, Ryan's old office, the city lights flickering like embers. "Don't thank me," I said. "He made his choices." When I hung up, I opened the termination letter Ryan had given me. I framed it. A reminder. People think revenge is an explosion. It's not. It's erosion. It's quiet, patient, deliberate. I didn't ruin Ryan Mercer. I simply let his own signature do it for me. And that was the most satisfying part.